Hello, class. So, the two articles that I decided to read were Natural Hair and Perception in Job Interviews and Multiple Perspectives on Piercings and Tattoos in Interviews. I chose the first article because being African American, I felt that there'd probably be some content in there that I could relate to, which there was. Um, and so I took an interest, also being African American, not always wanting to wear like a protective style and maybe just wanting to wear my natural hair. I was curious to see what that article was going to talk about. And then I chose the second article because I only have my ears pierced, but I'm interested in getting more piercings and tattoos, or interested in getting more piercings as well as some tattoos. But I know that there's that whole controversy with professionalism and what having tattoos and piercings in the workforce actually means. So for the first article, I actually chose two quotes that spoke out to me. The first quote is, although the moment was a signal of much needed and long awaited progress, the outright prejudice black women face because of the way they decide to wear their hair is completely inexcusable and has been swept under the rug for far too long. I picked this quote mainly because of the second half of the quote, and I really agree with the fact that it's been swept under the rug for far too long, and that there definitely is a prejudice because black women, for the longest time, and even I've personally experienced it, when it comes to wearing our natural hair, we've been criticized for something that we were just simply born with, whether it's us having our afros. Um, it doesn't matter what style it is. Typically, like when black women wear their natural hair, there seems to be some criticism. However, it's just our natural hair, and it's just something that we're born with. But in the same token, I also agree with this quote because I don't think that it's talked about enough. I think that there definitely is that prejudice, but I don't think that that prejudice and the problem with that prejudice is talked about enough. Um, I actually chose a second quote from this article as well, and that quote is, "The beauty of understanding is placing yourself in someone else's shoes." I really like this quote because I think that I definitely agree with it. I think that being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, the best of your ability, can really help you understand and just grasp maybe what that person might be going through. I think sometimes as people, we're quick to judge a situation or to comment on someone's life and not really understand the severity of what they're going through. And not it doesn't always have to be a severity, but simply just their walk of life. We all live life, but we all have different walks of life. So I think being able to step out of oneself and come into and put yourself in someone else's shoes, I think that that's a really beautiful thing. For the second article, the quote that I chose is, although there may be a few instances where piercings may be a safety issue or obscene tattoos may be inappropriate, it is improper for these forms of expressions to be banned as a whole. I definitely agree with this because yes, if you're working, let's say, on a construction site or maybe in a warehouse with dangerous equipment, you probably shouldn't have like dangly piercings that might get caught on things. Or if, let's say, if you're working around kids, you probably shouldn't have explicit sexual tattoos exposed to where the kids can see. However, I don't think that these specific instances should ruin the whole spiel of like tattoos in general, because piercings and tattoos, I know for a lot of people that that's a form of like coping for them. And then at the end of the day, whether coping or not, something traumatic happened or not, it's just a form of expression. And I don't think that all of that should be taken away simply because specific people might have maybe a tattoo that someone doesn't agree with or a piercing that someone doesn't agree with. Um, and in regards to how nonverbal communication is ambiguous in terms of how we perceive others and how others perceive us, it's ambiguous because, or that plays a factor into it because perception, in my opinion, pretty much stems from just your way of life. I think because we have so many different walks of life, as I mentioned earlier, our lens on certain things is not going to be the same. So, for example, I have this AirPod case. Someone might perceive this a certain way because of their beliefs, maybe their upbringing, versus the next person with their own set of beliefs and upbringing, yet they're perceiving the same thing in two different ways. Um, and then in regards to the second prompt for our discussion in terms of like what nonverbal behaviors you use in an interview. I'm always nervous when I go into an interview, but I always try and come off as confident and kind of like I know what I'm talking about. Not cocky, but having that healthy confidence in myself that I'm the best fit for the job. So I'll kind of portray that through maybe my eye contact, my posture. I tend to talk with my hands a lot. Also like tone of voice. So just little things like that when it comes to like non-verbally communicating certain things. But yeah, thank you for watching.